Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Kibin Alleyne, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, the world's first HIV positive to HIV positive heart transplant was performed at Montefiore Health System here in the Bronx. We are joined later by the doctor who performed the transplant and the recipient who is now encouraging people to become an organ donor. Why is it important for people to become organ donors? Then, with winter fast approaching and the temperatures dropping, many people who live on the streets are in need of coats and blankets to help keep them warm. The founder of Rise of Broken Women joins us to tell us about their coat and blanket drives that run until February and March. Why is it important to collect donations throughout the winter season? After that, the 11th annual Samaritan Daytop Village Toy Drive is collecting donations until December 23rd. The Assistant Vice President of SDV's Transitional Housing Program joins us to tell us how you can support their toy drive this holiday season, both in person and online. What are the benefits of having an online donation? And finally, the organization MJHS Health System gathers volunteers to prepare holiday gifts for children receiving hospice care. The Senior Pediatric Hospice Physician of MJHS Health System joins us to tell us more. What does this program mean to patients and their families during the holidays? So stay tuned. All this and much more is heading your way because we're now officially open. Hello, everyone. I'm Kibin Alleyne, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxTech.TV. A patient experiencing advanced heart failure received a second chance at life with the world's first HIV positive to HIV positive heart transplant performed at Montefiore Health System. Montefiore is one of 25 centers in the U.S. eligible to offer this complex surgery. Joining me now to discuss this life-changing procedure is transplant cardiologist Dr. Omar Saeed and recipient Miriam Nieves. Thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Now, the world's first HIV positive to HIV positive heart transplant has been successfully performed at Montefiore Health System, right here in the Bronx. Doctor, can you just tell me a little bit more about this remarkable story?
Yeah, sure. I know Miriam through our heart failure clinic. When I started seeing her, she was already listed for a kidney transplantation, and at one point, she actually received an offer for a kidney donor. But in the process of being listed for the kidney, and she was receiving dialysis, her heart had begun to fail. And we had used other measures such as putting stents in her arteries of the heart medications, but the heart function was continuing to get worse. And it became pretty clear that she would not safely be able to go the kidney only without a heart transplant. So we listed her for both heart and kidney transplantation. The barrier, with these transplants is that there's a severe organ shortage. So it's hard enough trying to get one organ, kidney, but when you combine it with two organs, with heart and kidney, it becomes even more difficult. So Miriam was listed for heart and kidney transplantation on the wait list, but she wasn't getting any offers. And fortunately, our program, one of the only two active programs that can do this. There's others that potentially can, but we're one of the two active ones, because we have a lot of history of transplanting patients that have a history of HIV with non-HIV donors. We've done that in the prior decade successfully. We were able to meet the criteria, and then me and Miriam had a discussion about this, about the risks and benefits, and we felt that this would be a very safe thing to do, and she consented to it. And we felt once we do this, she will be the only person that will be eligible to receive such an organ. Nobody else, no competition, first in line. So once we activated this pathway of receiving a HIV positive donor heart, which hasn't been done before, but once we did activate it, within a few days, fortunately, the appropriate offer came, and our center carefully evaluated it. There's a whole team of doctors. I'm just one of them. infectious doctors, critical care doctors, heart surgeons, critical care physicians, a lot of doctors. We evaluated the organs and we proceeded with transplantation, and it was successful. She's received a normal heart, a normal kidney, and as you can see, she's doing very well. We're very happy how things
Right.
turned out.
I want to ask Miriam, how did you feel knowing this procedure was possible?
Initially, it was very scary, but I knew that I had to take the chance, and I had faith in Dr. Saeed and Montefiore Einstein. And it was literally my only opportunity with a second chance in life. The waiting list is so long that I didn't think it would be possible for me to get a heart or a kidney via the normal transplant list. My only opportunity for a second chance was through the Hope Book.
Now, doctor, can you explain what were the possible risks, when you're doing such a procedure like this one?
Yeah, great question. So, as with anything that hasn't been done before, there are risks. Sometimes there are risks that we can't necessarily think of, but to the best of our ability, we felt that this would be a safe thing to do. Because you have to understand, when the organs are being evaluated for transplant, before the transplant, we look at the heart function very carefully through multiple different methods. So that's not different in this case. But one potential risk was the idea of medications, that the HIV medications may have interaction with the heart transplant medications. So we anticipated that, and our team, before any of this was done, looked at all the medications that Miriam would be on afterwards, and we made sure that it would be no interactions. So that was something that went according to plan. A lot of transplant medicine is what happens during the transplant and after the transplant, and those things we felt wouldn't be different in this case, even though the organ is coming from somebody HIV positive. But as long as these are normal organs, which we can judge beforehand, the process of transplant and afterward is just based on team expertise and everybody working together, and that's what we do all the time. So we felt we were more than capable of doing this. It was really, a lot of this was Miriam being very brave and this extraordinary act of compassion on behalf of the donor family that allowed this to happen.
Now, I want to ask you, how does it feel for you to be part of a life-changing procedure?
Me?
Hmm.
Oh my God. I am so grateful to be able to show individuals like me that are suffering from heart failure or even kidney failure that there's a second chance in life. Also, very grateful and thankful for the Newman family, for Brittany. She was a donor being HIV positive. And if it wasn't for Brittany, I probably would not be here today. So she afforded me a second chance in life, and that I will be forever grateful and thankful for, to her and to her family, which has now become my family as well. Faith and her generosity allowed me to have a new life today.
And you recently got to actually, meet her family. What was that experience like?
And that experience was very emotional and very beautiful. I know they lost a loved one, so there was a lot of emotions there. But for me, their loved ones live in me, and I just felt this natural connection with them. Um, and today we constantly texting each other, talking to each other. Just got a new extended family, and for that, again, I'm so very blessed and so very thankful that they afforded me a second opportunity in life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really beautiful. Now, doctor, I want to start with you, but it's a question for both of you actually. How does this procedure change the outlook society has on ideas with life with HIV?
Yes. So there's a feeling out there that because somebody has HIV, that they are immunosuppressed to begin with, and the HIV itself is the major risk factor. Now, this is on some level true, but the treatment for HIV, as we all know, has come a long way, right? It's no longer this uh, severe disease acutely. There's medications now that can control the problem, and it becomes more of a chronic medical problem, and people live with it okay, and the medications are fairly advanced now. But this feeling still exists that transplanting somebody with HIV that's already immunosuppressed, and then now you're going to immunosuppress them further with the heart transplant meds, could be a dangerous thing to do. So that's there's resistance out there, but it's been done. Our center has been doing it for the last decade. We've done many patients with HIV, with the HIV negative donors, and those transplants have gone successfully. And there's reports, experiences of the whole country that show that the survival after transplantation, heart transplantation for patients with HIV, is actually similar to those without HIV. So that one barrier in this case again shows us that this is very feasible with good success. Number two, now taking a donor with HIV, I think this opens up another door exclusively for patients with HIV to receive these organs that otherwise wouldn't be used. This is a very shortage. There's a big shortage of donors. There's over 100,000 people listed for organs, and time is of the essence. The longer a person waits, the greater risk they're at, and we lose a person on the list about every hour. So we have to move quickly. And this pathway provides us just another door that we could open and take these organs in a safe way.
Now, Miriam, I want to ask actually, after you having this experience, why would you say it's important or how would you encourage people to become organ donors?
I encourage everyone, even myself now, I know I can be an organ donor. Before, I think there's a lot of ignorance as far as people with HIV, whether they could donate or not. And we can. So, and there's people, like Dr. Saeed said, many of us, are on the list for years and years, and there's just not enough. And to save someone's life or to give someone life so they can spend more time with their families, more time with their children, it's a form of love. And I really believe that in today's world, we need all the love we can get. So organ donations is very important. If I don't need my organs, why not give it to someone that can benefit from it in order for them to have a second chance in life? And they carry on your legacy as well. So it's a win situation, in my opinion, for both the receiver and the donor.
Now, doctor, what should people know? What should people know just in general when becoming a donor?
Yeah, number one, a person has to think about this. It's not something that could be done immediately. So, as Miriam was saying, it's a gift of life. Really, despite whichever organ it is, every organ for a person waiting for them is life-saving. Whether it's a kidney, a liver, a heart, there's many organs that can be transplanted. So, for donors, they have to think about this. What their wishes would be if they got into a situation where they could donate. And then there's the logistics. In the U.S., it's more of a opt-in system. So you have to, if those are your wishes, you have to sign up for it. And there are several ways of doing that. One method is through the DMV. There are several other pathways as well. But I think it's important to think about this beforehand, where this is truly a life-saving thing to do for another person. Remarkable, what effect it can have on a person's life.
And I also quickly just want to know, I think it's a misconception about organ donating. Is it something that you can only do when you've passed on, or is it something that you can do while you're alive and well? Can you just clarify some things on that?
Sure. So this again depends on the organ that's being donated. Clearly, with heart transplantation, if a person has passed on and their wishes are to help somebody else. But in the case of other organs, could be a live donor, such as kidney, and people donate skin, other organs. So those don't have to be passing away.
Also, I just want to thank you both so much for joining us and for sharing this remarkable story.
Thank you for having us, and Merry Christmas. It's been a blessing to be able to see another one. Thank you, Dr. Saeed.
Thank you so much for having us on, and happy holidays. Thank you.
To stay connected with Montefiore, please go to their website at www.montefiore.org, or you could follow them on social media on all platforms at Montefiore Health System. We'll be right back.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, making it into a song.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. Last week, we got the chance to sit down with the founder of Rise of Broken Women, Charlee S. Newman, to learn more about the Rise of Broken Women's coat and blanket drive. Let's take a look. Throughout the winter months and holiday season, several organizations make an effort to support those in need with coat drives. The organization Rise of Broken Women currently hosts a coat and blanket drive from October to March. Joining me to talk about the organization and its efforts is the founder of Rise of Broken Women, Charlee S. Newman. Charlee, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, can you first just tell viewers a little bit more about your organization, Rise of Broken Women?
Rise of Broken Women was created by myself. I guess you can say I'm a former shelter lady, and I wanted to do things for the women that were being neglected. So the Rise of Broken Women was created to, make a larger collection, make collections on things that are necessary for those that are in the shelter, things that are hard for them to get.
Now, you talk a little bit, you previously mentioned, that the system failed you and other women. Can you just explain that a little bit more?
Well, when you're in the shelter, there's things that the necessities that you need, you don't get, like menstrual hygiene products, as well as toiletries, toothbrush and toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, body wash, things of this nature. When you first get in, you'll get a little small package, but then after that, you have to supply yourself with these products. Some of the shelters receive menstrual hygiene products and some don't. And that's where we come in to make sure that everyone, get these things, because these are the most important things for women to receive.
Now, I would really love for you to expand on that. Of course, it's so important, but can you explain, how it affects your self-esteem and how it just affects your mentality when you don't have those very necessary products?
Yes, the thing is, um, it makes it sort of cheapens you a little bit. You wonder how these people are going to get these things. When I was there, it was ugly. I remember a young lady walked up to the security guard and she asked the security guard for a tampon or a menstrual pad, and he told her that either she go in the bathroom and get some toilet paper or a paper towel for your issue. So when I heard that, it was like, okay, I've just found my purpose. This is something that I need to do to reach out to to women, all women, and the ones that are on the street is the problematic people. You have women that will use dirty socks, t-shirts, anything that they can find in the garbage can for their cycle.
Now, your organization has been doing so much work to support those in need, and your most recent effort consists of hosting drives, just for the people who need necessary items, especially during the winter. Can you talk about your coat drive?
The coat drive, I uh, get the coat drive for those that they all need coats, and it starts from infants up to adults, and that include children. Um, the coats are donated from multiple people who we reach out to. Actually, I just mentioned it, and it's just been like a drove. People just started calling and sending coats. I think the our goal is to collect about 2,500 coats.
Now, what condition do the coats need to be in order to be accepted?
Well, some of they I want them to be sort of like pristine if I can, because that is the most humiliating thing. You're in a shelter and somebody gives you some tattered clothing, a button may be missing, or it's torn, or somebody dropped paint on it, or it smells. I will not tolerate those things. I tell people when they donate, if it looks ugly to me, I will throw it in the garbage, because we're not garbage. We are human beings, and we want to look good too.
I'm so glad that you're mentioning that, like, there's a standard because I think oftentimes people just assume, well, this person should just be happy or lucky. But
Right.
I really love that, you're setting a standard and saying, these are specific things that these people need. And, you shouldn't just give somebody just anything just because. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you mentioning that. Now, why was this drive something your organization wanted to lead?
Reason being is when I needed a coat when I was in a shelter, and somebody handed me a coat. I'm a tall girl and I have long arms, so my coat, the sleeves come halfway up. I guess maybe a good 6 or 7 inches above my wrist, and it wasn't a warm coat, and actually it was ugly. It was something that um, I looked at. I said, I wouldn't give this to a dog, let alone a human being. And that's actually what happens. So that's what I started the coat drive, and I extended as long as possible because the winter months are long.
Now, I know you also host a blanket drive, and I think
Yes.
this is really different. We don't really hear about them as often as we hear about the coat drives. Can you explain why that was important to include?
Um, because it's the thing is being warm. So if you're going to have a coat, okay, you're going to need a blanket eventually. So the thing is, what we do is we collect blankets, even for those in the shelter, but we hand out blankets to the people in the street on that are sleeping on on the street, and those in the subways.
Now, I think what makes this, special is that, it's throughout the entire winter season and it's
Yeah,
not just, during the holidays. I feel like that's very different, for an organization to do. Can you just explain why that was important?
because people have a tendency when they have a drive, it lasts 1 week, 2 weeks, and that's it. Um, I extended it that way. So I wanted to keep that time frame open for at least, the whole winter. So I usually start advertising it like the end of October, and it starts from November and it ends in the end of March, because there's still days that are extremely cold right up until sometime the first and second week of April.
You're exactly right. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Can you just talk about your overall efforts just to support, people who are experiencing homelessness?
Um, what I try to do is it's been it's been phenomenal. People call me. I had one young lady that gave me a call, and she needed Pampers for her children. She had an infant and two toddlers, and so I just reached out to somebody, and before you know it, I had like 55 boxes of Pampers. People don't
Wow.
understand that those items are expensive. Some women don't have $80 a month to spend on Pampers, because the public assistance isn't that much money, and these are things that the shelters do not supply them with. So that's what I started doing.
And I also think it's really important to mention again, we said that this, the drive goes on until about March, and you
Yeah.
even mentioned that sometimes it's cold and even into April. But I love that your organization is doing this stuff all year round. I think that, society tends to focus on, this specific community during the holiday season, which is amazing. I still think they're doing great work. But can you just talk about the challenges a lot of these people face all year round?
Some of the challenges that they face is, number one, keeping warm. Okay. Number two, their health and hygiene. Those are the two most important things, because as a woman, we have to keep our bodies clean, especially when, during and after their menstrual cycle. So these are the things that I work on to make sure that I'm doing the best I can. We're expanding. I want to be in all 5 boroughs. Right now, we're working with two boroughs, Manhattan and the Bronx. And these challenges, they're rough. I get phone calls with women asking that, and organizations such as other shelters asking for sanitary napkins, tampons, all of these things of this nature. And it's really important, especially toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, all the necessities. These are the things that you go in your bathroom and get. So I've get people ask me, so what is it that they need? I said, when you walk into your bathroom, what do you have in your bathroom? That's what these people need. And they go like, oh,
No,
wow. I said, yeah. And also, stuff for cramps, ibuprofen, anything that you can help them through their menstrual cycle with. And that's what I've been getting, boxes of it. And that's
truly
continuous.
amazing. And yeah, I really love this effort, especially that there's a focus on women. Can you just explain, is the drive or the coat drive or blanket drive, is it specific to women or is it open to anyone?
Everyone, babies, toddlers, everybody, all ages. So the only thing is, I tell people, don't send us queen size blankets, because they don't sleep in queen size beds. They're twin size beds. And pillows, another thing, people like to give pillows, but they're going to give me pillows off of their bed. I can't accept that, because it's unhealthy. People slobber on pillows. So if you donate pillows, go to the store and buy a brand new pillow.
Charlie, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us and sharing, all the work your organization has been doing to support so many people in New York City.
Thank you. I'd like to share one thing. I would like to reach out to everyone to help support women and girls. It's so important. You can go to our website and find out how to do that.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
To learn more about the Rise of Broken Women and to stay updated with all the work and efforts they provide to help those in need, please go to their website at www.riseofbrokenwomen.org or follow them on social media across all platforms at Rise of Broken Women. We'll be right back with more Open right after this.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo. Gracias. Thank you. What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel small. Can't help but get lost again.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go.
Excellent. Soccer. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're in the
Welcome back. Toy donations are known to bring joy to kids during the holiday season, and in the spirit of giving, one of NYC's leading not-for-profit organizations, Samaritan Daytop Village, launched its 11th annual toy drive. Assistant Vice President for SDV's Transitional Housing Program, Allysa Sanchez, joins me to discuss the organization and the annual toy drive. Allysa, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning, Kibin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, I want to jump right into it and talk about your organization. For those who don't know, can you just let us know what the Samaritan Daytop Village is and, what your organization does?
Samaritan Daytop Village is a 60-plus-year-old non-for-profit organization that provides social services to vulnerable New York City and Long Island, the Long Island community. We started out as a substance abuse program, and we have morphed into providing services to children, veterans, as well as sheltering most of New York's vulnerable homeless individuals. We have over 33 shelter sites, 9 of which are sheltering families, and we provide supportive housing throughout New York City.
Now, what are the organization's programs for transitional housing and supportive services?
So when we say transitional housing, we have actually moved from shelter to transitional housing because it definitely sounds better, and shelter is transitional. We have 9 supportive housing programs that provide permanent supportive housing to individuals leaving homeless shelters, as well as we have residential services for substance abuse treatment throughout New York, Long Island, and Rockland County.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that, because I never, I understand that, the term shelter could have negative connotations to it. So I appreciate you guys explaining that and kind of, giving people another term so that they feel a little bit more comfortable using that. Now, I understand that you have a young mothers program. Can you just talk a little bit about that and why it's so unique?
So our Young Mothers Program, which is one of many of our programs, is a substance abuse treatment program for young mothers with children under the age of 3, women that are seeking help to, fight the disease of addiction, and they're able to bring a child into treatment with them. So that helps with the stability and keeping the family together while they're going through their treatment.
And your organization supports so many different groups, and we heard some of the programs you offer. Can you just talk about, why it's so important to kind of focus on all of these different groups in New York and why it's important to help those in need?
Well, New York is a tough place to live, and it's very difficult to manage. The economy has changed. Homelessness is at an all-time high, as well as addiction right now. And I think that we've taken on both of those challenges as an agency, and we're doing very well at it. There's no better time to give than now, given our current state of affairs in New York. The economy, homelessness, addiction. We are combating overdoses on a daily basis and dealing with that. We have peer support programs as well as veteran programs. So I think that Samaritan has really tried to help as many vulnerable individuals in New York City as possible.
Now, your next effort, or your most recent effort, will support children this holiday season, and it's the annual toy drive. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So we're always excited around this time of year. This is our 11th annual toy drive. And now more than ever, we need help. We need generosity. We need donations. As you can see on the screen, our motto this year is, in the eyes of a child, a gift means the world. If you look at this picture, it just tells the entire story. And we have over 2,200 children throughout our programs this year. It's a 20% increase from last year. And we're just seeing that the need is greater than ever. And there are many opportunities to be a part of our toy drive this year.
And why have acts of service like this needed during this time?
The holidays always bring about certain feelings, and I just happen to say that Christmas is my favorite holiday. But for a child that may be displaced, be in shelter, or a parent who has been separated from that child, the opportunity to receive a gift on Christmas Day should be Christmas every day, but this is a special time of year, and we want to make sure that every child that's connected to our programs has the opportunity of receiving a gift.
And I'm also sure, people talk about inflation a lot. I'm sure presents aren't, as cheap as they probably used to be back then. So I can imagine how much this will help out so many parents who are, just struggling financially. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
So again, I'm overseeing 33 transitional housing sites, right? And now 9 of our sites are providing family shelter. We have over 1,200 families in shelter right now, and most of them are on very limited income, if any at all. And so the ability to buy a child a gift may be a tremendous hardship for a family at this time. So if we can provide or help with that economic challenge right now, I think that it could put a smile on a child's face as well as a parent's face.
Now, what are the 4 ways people can support the toy drive?
I'm glad you asked that question. So you can we have 2 drop-off sites. One is at our flagship location in Briarwood at 13802 Queens Boulevard in Briarwood. And we have another drop-off site at our Richard Press site, Richard Press Wellness Center in the Bronx at 510 Cortlandt Avenue.
Now, I understand.
In addition, I'm sorry.
No, you can continue.
In addition, we have a wish list at Amazon.com. So, you can be anywhere in the world and donate to Samaritan Daytop Village. You don't have to be in New York, but you can go on to Amazon.com and you can join our wish list. In addition, if you go to our website, which is www.samaritan.village.org, we have a wish list connected to our website, and you can donate a financial donation, which is tax deductible, or you can donate a toy through our website.
Now, I think it's really amazing that, you have online donations. It just shows how much things have changed over time. But, what are some of the benefits of having an online donation?
So, in the day of COVID, I think, people have become very, they don't go out as often. As you can see in one of our pictures, we're still coming out with masks. And if people have an opportunity to give and they don't have to necessarily come in, I think that's a great opportunity because some people are still shopping online. And you don't even have to leave your home to provide a toy to a child. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity. And it's really the world that we've turned to. A lot of people are shoppers. Not myself, but some people just like to shop online. And if that makes it easy, you never have to leave home. And we will take whatever we can get at this point. We are also accepting, funds through our Samaritan Daytop Village Foundation so that we can purchase gift cards for some of our teenagers because teenagers are very picky. They prefer to buy clothes rather than toys. So we do have quite a few teenagers in our shelters and within some of our other programs. So if you'd like to give a cash donation, a monetary donation, we will take those as well.
I'm so glad that you mentioned, the presence of teenagers, because I think a lot of times people forget that they're also kids and, for Christmas, it's important for them to get things too. Why was it important to, have options for those who are teens and just make sure that they felt visible during this time as well?
We don't want anyone to feel left out. So I think even for a teenager, again, being in shelter or being in some type of supportive housing, just the idea of a gift makes them feel, cared for and, part of the holiday. And no child, regardless of their age, should be left out.
Now, besides individuals, can groups or organizations donate? For example, maybe tenant associations, small businesses, or churches?
Absolutely. And we actually look to those partners. We have had partners from our communities in the past donate to various sites. We've had community partners adopt shelters and other programs. So there's always opportunities. You can go on our website again to see all the different programs that we have and the addresses. We've had police precincts, we've had the Department of Education, the Coalition for the Homeless, we've had gyms that have adopted sites as well. And so we're always looking for community partners and individuals that would love to provide a gift for a child.
Now, I think during the holiday season, people often tend to think of the children a little bit more, but I understand, they kind of live in these situations all year round. Can you just let people, for those who don't know, what are some of the challenges that these kids face?
So, living again in shelter, there are some advantages and disadvantages. Of course, we're providing a level of stable housing. However, families are in a transition. We do provide social services to those individuals, but there's always a tremendous need maybe for clothes, school supplies, and other things that may support the family. So when families are moving out, they're in tremendous need of a gift basket or food. So again, any type of contribution that could help our vulnerable families would be tremendously, appreciated. This year alone, we opened up 3 sanctuary shelters for the incoming migrants and immigrants, and we're housing 400 families in 3 hotels right now.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing this beautiful, effort just to make children feel seen during the holidays.
Absolutely. And again, this is like the greatest time of year. And so we just ask that people be generous, give the gift of love and light to our children, and that, be a part of where good lives, because Samaritan Daytop Village is where good lives.
And then could you just let people know when they can donate? Until when?
They can donate up until the 23rd of December. We will be distributing our toys throughout our programs up until that day to make sure that every child has a gift for Christmas.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday.
STEM is everywhere, like here. behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
COVID-19 has changed how we spend weekends with the girls. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to brunching instead of late-night munching. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Should I get it? Is it safe? Should I wait?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
But you got to keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a course online.
You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back. Continuing gift-giving traditions, the organization MJHS Health System gathers volunteers to prepare holiday gifts for children receiving hospice care. Volunteers and staff hand-delivered presents to pediatric patients and their families in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Nassau County. Joining me now to discuss this effort is the Senior Pediatric Hospice Physician at the MJHS Health System, Dr. Damani Taylor. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
Now, to start it off, for those who don't know, could you just tell us a little bit more about your organization?
Sure. So MJHS Health System is an organization that provides medical care in a respectful, compassionate, and empathetic way to our communities in the Bronx, the greater New York City area, and Nassau County.
Now, for those who don't know, can you just talk a little bit about the services that you provide?
Sure. So we provide a range of services, anything from just general home care to nursing home care. Specific to today, I'll be focusing on our pediatric program.
And now, before we go into that, we're talking about people who are in hospice. For those who don't know, can you explain what that means?
Sure. So for patients in our hospice program, whether it be our pediatric program or adult program, it focuses on the care for people who have a terminal illness. For our adults, that can be people who have an illness with a life prognosis of 6 months. And for our pediatric program, that's usually kids with a terminal illness with a prognosis of less than 12 months.
Now, can you explain the difference from adult hospice and pediatric hospice?
Yeah, so, with adult hospice, we're talking about care for people who are dying, which, while a sad part of life, it's also kind of a natural part of life. Whereas when it comes to children, that's completely foreign. Parents aren't having kids with the expectation that one day their kids would die while they're still alive. It's often described as the worst thing that can happen to a parent. And there's no real manual for it, right? So what we are really hoping is to help support those parents. So in addition to the life expectancy difference that I mentioned before, the program also can allow in certain situations for children to continue therapy, like chemotherapies that's designed to hopefully cure the child. Whereas for adults, the care is really focused on quality of life care rather than trying to focus on any disease treatment specifically.
I'm glad that you actually brought that up because I think that just the overview you would just think of it as like a blanket, but it's nice that you guys have like specific care for specific stages of life. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, who is eligible for the programs your organization provides?
Sure. So to qualify for the pediatric program, you do have to have an illness, a terminal illness that you have a prognosis of less than 12 months. Also, it usually requires like the certification of a physician. And for our pediatric program, the age range is from newborns to young adults, especially young adults that are under the care of a pediatric subspecialist or specialist.
Now, you talked a little bit about, how sometimes parents aren't totally prepared, for this type of thing. What is the support that your organization offers?
Right, just like you're mentioning, when it comes to supporting a parent or a family and really caring for a terminally ill child, it really requires kind of a multidisciplinary, multifaceted approach. And so we offer things from, medical care, obviously, with, a physician or a nurse practitioner, nursing care with the assistance of a nurse, to other things like social workers who can really help support the families when it comes to not just what it is to deal with it, but also getting community resources to really help them find the things that they need to help them get through that experience. We also have bereavement for after someone dies to help people counsel them on what it is to live afterwards. We have pastoral care, which are really like chaplains that can help people who have spiritual issues or even existential issues for those who aren't necessarily religious. We have creative art therapists that offer things like music therapy or for art therapy that is not only fun, but it actually has like a therapeutic intervention that can really be helpful for people to get through tough times. We also have a volunteer program where people come and just hang out with the kids and just have fun. So
That's
there's a lot of things
amazing.
we have to offer.
I'm so glad that you shared that. I think that a lot of people, when they think of these types of settings, it's usually maybe gloomy. But it's so nice that, there are so many just like different outlets for a lot of the patients and their family members to kind of express themselves and, just kind of feel a little bit different. So I'm glad that you shared that. I want to talk about your most recent act of service, which is providing gifts to these children. Can you talk a little bit more about that effort?
Sure. Yes. Very, very relatable. Sorry, topic right now. We're in the holidays, right? So our gift giving program. Yeah. So one of the nice things about this time of year is that we want to really share a really nice time with the kids. Not focus on the disease so much, but really a happy time. So our gift giving program is something where our staff dresses up with gifts that are donated through our Young Leadership Council in MJHS. And we go out to the families and deliver gifts to the kids during the holidays.
Now, can you explain how this effort actually began?
Sure. So about 5 years ago, the MJHS Young Leadership Council collaborated with the nurses and the social workers on our staff and to address the need that, a lot of the kids aren't really necessarily celebrating the holidays in a real meaningful way. And so they thought, well, why don't we help bring some fun to the children? And so, through donations, they were able to collaborate with the staff. We all got dressed up. We went into different houses, and it was really, really a fun time.
Now, I know this has just been a tradition for your organization, and it's very heavy volunteer based. What makes people come back every year, to provide this act of service?
Sure. So, for a lot of parents, they're so focused on giving the excellent care, right, for their kids. We have some really dedicated families. But, sometimes they're so dedicated that they kind of overlook the holiday, or they're so busy that they can't really focus or plan for the holidays. And so really, it's really nice that we can do this to just kind of help people forget that, hey, like I'm dealing with this medical condition, and just focus on just having like a fun time. And for the staff, it allows us to not only feel good that we're help bringing that nice experience to the families, but also allows us to kind of step out of kind of like our clinical role, whether it's me as a physician, someone else as a social worker, and really just be as like one person to another, and really focus on the humanity of our patients and really in the enjoyment of what the holidays are.
That's amazing. My question was going to be, what does this program mean to the patients, their siblings, and their families? But you also talked about, what this could mean for staff as well. So I think that's amazing. Can you elaborate on what the program means to those families, though?
Yeah. So, when you're a family member or parent of a child with a terminal illness, you're often just so focused on the care, right? Care, their illness, what it is to, find money to do this related to the illness, or buy this related to that illness, what it is to explain it to family members or deal with siblings and explain what's happening to them. So like your life seems so just caught up surrounding this terminal illness. And to really have an event, right, that allows you just to be, mom opening up the gift packages or dad playing with a toy with that child, right? It really allows you to kind of step away from just the focus on that illness so much and go back to what it is to be a family, what it is to enjoy the holidays as a family.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the annual celebration of the gift wrapping party? Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, it was really a wonderful experience. We as a staff, come together and, we, wrap the individual gifts for the kids and get it ready for delivery. But it's a really meaningful experience because we get to, to have a group that kind of shares the same goals, the same values, and talk about meaningful experiences with our patients and families. And especially now, I think this will be the first year since the height of the pandemic that we're able to actually physically be in the same room together, which is really nice because a lot has happened, and it really, the camaraderie of the group together was really cool.
Now, I think this is super important. What are some considerations people should just think about when choosing presents for sick children, just to make sure that they're medically appropriate?
So one of the things that I often tell people is that you should go to the parents, right? We always say the parents are the experts on their children, and they can tell you the things, not only what their kids like, but what's really appropriate for their children. Often a child with a terminal illness can have certain disabilities that may not allow them to enjoy certain toys or really interact properly with certain things. And what you don't want to do is give a child something that reminds them of their deficiencies or the things that they can't do, because then that really kind of, spoils the moment, spoils the happiness.
Right.
And so, in addition to talking to the parents, just be mindful, right? Be mindful of what a child can do. Be mindful of what they can't do. And make sure that whatever you're donating is something geared towards something that they can really interact with, participate with, and enjoy.
Now, I think this is really special. This gift donation also gives volunteers the opportunity to learn about the children. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why was that important to include?
Sure. So, all our children are special, right? They all have their special journeys, their special stories. And we really think it's important that, anyone donating to the kids, really understands who the kids are because, they're so valuable, right? Another thing that we deem important is just to make sure that, again, the donations that you're choosing, again, not only takes into account what a child can or cannot do, but also take into account that child's personality, take into account what makes that child, that individual so unique. And so that's really important to know.
All right, Dr. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this really special effort just to make children, feel special during the holidays. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
To keep in touch with all the work that MJHS Health System does, go to their website at www.mjhs.org or follow them on social media across all platforms at MJHS01. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and the viewers for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recable cast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. From our BronxNet family to yours, wishing you all a happy holidays. See you next time.